Robert, thank you for the invitation. Thank you. It's a deeply honor being here with you. Mariano, thank you for your words. Professor Selena, you make me easy speak about the threats of the U.S. or the security of the Western Hemisphere here in the U.S. because we lived the threats back in Venezuela. When we talk about cyber threat, we can talk about Sputnik, Russia Today, Telesur, they operate widely back in Venezuela. They finance all the propaganda machine through Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, to not only threat the security, of course, but also to manipulate the trending, not only topics back in social media, but also in the public opinion. I mean, just think about it. We here in the US, we have several medias, we have a lot of public opinion, newspapers, radios, podcasters, I mean, free of speech. Back in Venezuela, if you post on X and Instagram, you go to jail. So think about how they potential get power over the censorship in regimes like Venezuela. So the main threat in this moment to the Western Hemisphere is precisely the dictators' regimes. Why? Because the cyber threat, the drugs cartels, the organized crimes, not only about drug dealers, also about the migration, how to use the migration as a weapon. You talked about this morning in this forum, this important forum. So it's not only about the lack of democracy back in Venezuela that produced 8 million migrants. 25% of our population is already outside of our country. They use that migration with the organized crime like Tren de Aragua, TDA, by the way. Like they killed some military back in Chile 6 months ago. They use this organization, Mariano, like a franchise. From who? Not only about the proxy threat that represent Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba from Russia, Iran, or China, but also to the drug cartels, like El Cartel de los Soles, back in Venezuela, who is run by Maduro. They have to use that kind of organization to hold the power indeed, and to try to live or try to negotiate, get leverage with one high with Putin or Lavrov or Xi Jinping, or with the US, to try to negotiate their normalization. And they actively use this kind of tools to threaten the US. And they use in both ways: propaganda, drug cartels, organized crime, migration, energy. Also, as you know, Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the world, to try to normalize and proxy enemy of the United States in the bottom. So you got 3 hours flight, Russia, China, and Iran back in Caracas, but also in Cuba and Nicaragua. And why I'm saying this? Because to counter cyber threat, drug cartels, we need to stop in this moment the Western Hemisphere that kind of dictatorship regimes. It's too easy, and I say this with property, you know. I have 19 months in exile because, as you know, they persecute us, my family, my team, injured, killed, tortured, censorship, a lot of our team. Now we have an opportunity to recover democracy back in Venezuela with the primary election back in 2023, the recent election back in Venezuela, already rigged, by the way. Maria Corina Machado, who was elected in the primary election, can allow to participate in the election, who win Edmundo González Urrutia, who is the president-elect of Venezuela, taking us a big opportunity not only to regain or to recover our democracy, but also to put a stop to this kind of regimes around the world. But of course, in this hemisphere, if you have a guy like Maduro back in Venezuela, constantly threaten the old Western hemisphere through drug cartels, weaponized migration, organized crime around the hemisphere, and constantly visit from Lavrov or China or Iran. 1 month ago, the security minister from Iran was in Táchira, looking for some terrains, you know, the farms back over there in the frontier state to Colombia. Do you think the security minister of Iran was checking or looking for cows back in Venezuela? Of course not. For sure not, you know? So it's a very important moment to us, to the hemisphere, to finally stop this kind, not only regimes, strengthen to democracy, to the, of course, stabilization of the region, and of course the US. I mean, if you want to launder money, Mariano, and you know a lot about this, how they use Maduro to do this, from Russia, from China, from Iran. The Ukrainians, friends, also knows about the threats of Russia and Iran back in Venezuela. It's the key point or the center of this discussion to recover democracy, to put us an stop to this kind of threats around. And to finalize, I mean, the impunity is the key reason that we have this proliferation of regimes around. If Maduro is still an election, if Ortega back in Nicaragua, in jail, 7 candidates before an election, and the answer to this is nothing. I mean, basic, you know, what's the incentive to that kind of regimes? I mean, easy to kill, to kidnap, to censor, to get linked with the bad guys, like an author say, an Applebaum. Maybe you heard about it. And I'm here in exile, not because I'm afraid of that regime, or to be in jail, or death, by the way. We faced that regime 4 years in the streets, with my family kidnapped, with my team threatened, by the way. But we lost our support. And not Juan Guaidó, the democracy. Because this is not about one person or 2 or 3 or one country. It's about to stabilize the region. If you want to stop the migration here or to stop the TDA, Tren de Aragua, we have to stop Maduro. If you want to stop China, Iran, Russia, to proxy enemy in the region, we have to stop that kind of regimes. And we need the support in this moment, to Maria Corina, to Edmundo, to recover democracy. We are not begging for help. We are doing our job back again in Venezuela. And we can recover democracy. We can give up about liberty, about rights, about democracy, about people back in the ground risking his life to achieve something that is important to you, to us, to the security of the US, like freedom. So thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, Mariano, for the invitation also. So God bless you. Thank you.